Good morning, evening, and night, everyone. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. My name is Ensocial, and here we go with a best-of-7 match between the Utah Valley University. I'm sorry about that. Utah Valley University and University of California, Irvine. Now to introduce our players, on the bottom right, representing Irvine, we have none other than Veritas, playing with the red SCVs. And on the bottom left side of the screen, representing UVU, we have Junie. Both of them very solid players. Veritas, a Grandmaster player with very high expectancy to perform extremely well in this championship, in this best-of-7 match between both universities. Both players with very solid openings. But Junie is going for triple barracks. Two of them in a very sneaky spot on the opposite side of the ramp. So that way it reduces the chances of Veritas spotting it. Having two SCVs out in the field, because this map, Undercity, is part of the Team Liquid map context 15. And it's a 4-player map instead of a 2-player map. That means your opponent can spawn on any of the 4 corners of the map. So it's really important to send out earlier scouts so that way you actually know where your opponent is. And now we have Junie sending out the very first Reaper of the match. While Veritas already with another Reaper patrolling. The cost of having 3 barracks as a starter is you have less units from the get-go, but your unit production does ramp up faster. That means Junie, soon enough, Junie will have more units than Veritas on this very early part of the game. Veritas is going for a 1-1-1 with an expansion, while Junie is keeping up the Reaper production. She'll just keep up producing Reapers and more Reapers. I guess she's going for a Reaper rush, meaning it's an all-in. Almost. Because if you keep producing Reapers at that scale, you don't have the economy to produce anything else. Like SCVs, you cannot ramp up your economy that well. So it's either deal a lot of damage, you kill a lot of those SCVs, or go home. There's no midway through. There's no, if this fails, well, I guess I can do something. But so far, this is going well. Veritas does try to stop it with a Cyclone, but the Reapers just keep on coming. They keep coming and they don't stop coming. With those very nice shotguns? Pistols? Not sure. And a GG's called. So many SCVs died in the making of this movie. And here we have first match, first point for UVU. Junie takes it home. All right, and here we go for second match, representing UVU with the orange probes. We have none other than Doc Coaster. And on the bottom left side of the screen, representing Irvine with the blue Zerg units, we have Entes. Both players very solid. Dark Coaster known amongst the people for bringing in the cheese, as we can see on the observers also commenting on it. Dark Coaster does generally on his matches, he tends to bring a lot of cheese, so we can expect Dark Templar, we can expect Void Race. That's the kind of player we can expect. While Antis is a little bit more a macro player. They tend to focus more on the more defensive classic builds of Zerg, like 16 pool or somewhere along those lines. Just to build those defensive, sorry, 12 pool, just to build those defensive Zerglings, or at least harass just a little bit, but not committing too hard on it. Dark Coaster already walling off the Naturals, quote-unquote, gate, with 2 gateways and a cybernetic score. We have the first Zerglings already coming out, 6 of them. Not too unusual. The first Overlord out on the map. Just now getting to the first pillar. Just to see if there's anything weird, anything strange going on. But so far, nothing too unexpected from Dark Coaster. With a fully saturated gas. That means it's not going too heavily on gas units. His focus on this very, very beginning will be more zealots. Well, on the other side, we already have our speedlings coming up. The speedling upgrade. Sorry for the camera slip-ups. My area of mouse is a little bit off. But anyways, the Zerg player with a very more macro focused build, already having the 3rd expansion. Dark Coaster keeping up with only 2, not too unusual, getting a Twilight Council and charge started. The first Zerglings are returning home. The Overlord with a very daring scout to see if any cheese, any shenanigans are going on. As mentioned, Dark Coaster is known to bring in Dark Templar and Void Race. It will cost the Overlord his life. Very saddening. F in the chat to pay your respects for that very brave scout. Going for a robotics facility as their first high-tech choice. And there we have it, boys, ladies and gentlemen. Here we have the Dark Shrine, the highly expected Dark Shrine. So yes, we are expecting DTs. The Zerglings are already fast, but so far so good. Not even lair tech for a Zerg player. Going strong, kind of strongly on Zerglings, a little bit too many, I think, personally. But we can see a couple of roaches in production. But if he goes too strongly on Zerglings, those DTs will definitely do a lot of damage. Mainly for the fact that he doesn't yet have any resemblance of lair. Lair is an upgrade for your hatchery that is required for you to build over Sears, the main detection unit for the Zerg, but he is building spore crawlers on his mineral lines And that should prove some deterrence for any form of Dark Templar, for those very brave invisible boys. Those cousins of Zeratul. He's already on the offensive, showing off a little, giving away a little bit of the positioning of those Dark Templar with the Warp Prism. Not sure if that's ideal. Now the Zerglings are running for a counterattack as they felt the pressure from the Dark Templars. They look at the third, no third. All right, we gotta look at the wall now. Is it on the other side? No. No side. Dark Toaster immediately transforms the 4 Dark Templar into 2 Archons. Likely the best play, given the high level of detection on all the mineral lines and the very defensive build from the Zerg. He's not going to do any damage if he attempts with more Dark Templar. And well, Archons with those zaps, with those lightnings, given some splash damage, very effective against Zergling. Mainly unupgraded Zerglings, but Dark Toaster also not going for any upgrades whatsoever, except for charge for the for the 3 zealots he has. So, well, yeah, the zealot number are increasing. That's wonderful. That's really good for him. We have an overseer scouting the main, only to see what he already knew. DTs are here, and we can see more warp gates. And we have a GG. Just as an instant replay, I got a little bit distracted. Before the offensive, we have Dark Toaster attacking, trying to break in the wall of roaches, but unfortunate for him. All right, third match. Currently, the scoreboard is 1-on-1. 1 for UVU, 1 for Irvine. On this third match, we have representing UVU on the top left side of the screen on this 2v2 match. With the probes, we have Dark Toaster once more. As his partner, we have, with the Terran units, Juni. On the other side of the map, on the bottom right, with the blue probes, we have Antes. And his partner, with the also Terran units, we have Lumon. Now this is going to be a 2 players against 2 player match, as it's customary on team versus team matches, right? But from the get-go, we already have a barracks coming up on the other side of the map from Juni in a very pesky probe from Antis. Already getting a gateway, 2 gateways on top of Juni, as well as Irvine apparently decided that Juni is the highest threat to their win, so they decided to first cheese them and focus them. But Juni's SCVs are working hard. They are doing their best to prevent any zealot from coming up. But Antis already has backup pillars, pylons. So a zealot will come out. Is it a zealot? Yeah, it's a zealot. Although Juni does have 1 marine, 1 Reaper, and a Dream, and a defense. Dark Coaster sitting back and relaxing on the side of the map, getting 2 Stalkers up, likely to help their friend bail from this mess. But Juni is handling it quite well, though Zealot's doing some form of damage. Not too much, but some form of damage. As Juni supplies did get between 4 and 6 SCVs went down on that offensive. Not the damage Antis was looking for, but still some damage, and that will prevent the proxy barracks to be used as such, since Juni didn't have the economy nor the attention to keep that going while having to defend against the 2 gateways at home. But the UVU team already assembling, getting together with Stalkers and Reapers to start a counter-offensive as a vengeance against enemies. You attack me, now I attack you. Let's see who gets the best of this. The probes are pulled, the citizens arrest on one of the Reapers and one of the Stalkers. And this does have 3 Stalkers to help defend his own base. Lumon with the 4 Marines and a tank and a Dream, getting one of the Stalkers from Dark Coaster. And his Stalkers shooing out most of the Reapers, but the proxy barracks is doing their job and is getting those Reapers across very far sooner than they would have if they were not proxy. That means quicker reinforcements, and as you can see, the amount of Reapers is still kind of steady and still increasing. So far, Antis is technically out of the game, as his probes are just refugees on Lumon's base. Just please protect us. We seek asylum. We have been bullied. We were bullied. Now both UVU players focusing down the Nexus, and with Antis's amount of minerals, he won't be able to rebuild it. But in a 2v2 match, you do have the chance to transfer minerals to your friend, to your partner, so they still have a chance of rebuilding. We have Le Mans with the very strong offensive with many Marines, with Stimpack almost completing, defending Antis' base and allowing Antis to start rebuilding after transferring a couple of minerals to them. UVU falls back to regroup, lick their wounds after inflicting a heavy damage on Irvine. Lumon just kind of macroing it out, having already a natural expansion. Dark Coaster just now expanding for another base, and so is Juni, floating down that command center towards their protected natural. Since most 2v2 maps do tend to have a defended natural for each player. Dark Coaster advancing once more with more Stalkers against Antis. Antis no longer has a place to run to. Those probes are very dead. What a slaughter. What a massacre. The sadness, the tears, and all of Antis's probes are down. Antis is officially out of the match, and all of their resources are transferred towards Lumon. Now Lumon is the last one. He must complete the mission. He must win this match for Irvine. No pressure at all. while we have Dark Coaster and Juni now just keeping a little bit of presence on the other side of the map, but mostly focusing on economy. Dark Coaster with his brand, with his landmark, bringing in those Dark Templar. Lumon keep making the enemy go away with many Marines and Marauders and Medivacs. All units that start with M from the current player. Now, with the more macro economy oriented expand from both UVU players, since they did shoot out one of the Irvine players. Some DTs on the other side, not doing too much damage as they were very quickly scouted. I'm not sure if DTs were the best call, since it's a Terran player. He will have the map hacks to discover very quickly where those DTs are, but that also denies them mules. But I'd say it's not such a heavy cost to pay in countering DTs that could do a lot of damage. Now, Marines, Marauders, Medivacs, and a couple of tanks going in across the map as the proxy gate, warp gate, was discovered and will be eventually dealt with. But with the time he took to regroup and make all these units, Juni also got some units out. They got 3 tanks, some amount of Marines, and Zealots and Sentries. Although UVU does lack upgrades in comparison to Irvine, Lumon does have the knee-breaking Marauders, +1/+1 stem pack and combat shield, while Dark Coaster only has charge, no 1/+1 upgrades, nor they are coming up, only +1 armor coming up. While Juni does have stem packs as well, +1 and combat shields, so they're not that far off on upgrades. They're still quite far off. They're very much behind, but not that behind. Lumon's offensive goes sideways with the amount of Marines just shooting their bullets and now chasing them across the map. Back to your side, buddy. Don't get on our lawn. Go back to where you came. And Dark Coaster with the solid offensive. Those knee-breaking Marauders do their due diligence of slowing down those Zealots, because charge now also makes the Zealots move faster passively. They no longer deal damage on impact, but they do move faster passively. Juni going up with a drop, not sure where to, likely to Lumon's natural expansion. Yep. But Lumon with a quick response, following up with another Medivac loaded with Marines just to counter the drop. One of Juni's Medivacs does go down, but it was not loaded, lucky for them. Scan affecting most of Lumon's army locations. Lumon does have 4 bases, 1 planetary, and 3 orbital command centers. That will mean a lot of mules and a lot of keep up, so that way he can keep up with 2 players' economies. Doing a very good job there. Dark Coaster getting the golden minerals expansion. golden minerals, giving extra amount of minerals, because contrary to the blues that only give 5, they give 7. Dark Coaster has a war prism, just waiting, lurking in the shadows. Juni coming up with a drop from the same direction. While Lumon's armies are mostly busy chasing down the Marines and Medivacs from Juni that were on their doorstep, evacuating on the Medivacs. Seems redundant. The drop was cancelled, or dealt with, I'm not sure. Dark Coaster going up to defend against the counter-offensive from Lumon. As Juni does try to keep them busy and chasing them across the map, as contrary to just going for their bases. As if Lumon is to go against Juni's base, they will kill it. They can wreck Dark Coaster's army if those very, very important psionic storms don't land. If they land, it will be a disaster for Lumon. If they don't, it's a big. So it's a very delicate balance we have there. But Juni using those Medivacs loaded with Marines and a single Marauder to to make Lumon's army return home, destroying one of Lumon's bases and getting some Zealots inside Lumon's main, hitting a little bit of Lumon's production, but will be quickly dealt with. At the cost of returning home though, it did give away map presence towards UVU's team, but as they say that, we do have 4 Medivacs loaded with troops, very brave Marines and 2 Marauders coming up against Juni's main. And no army for UVU is at home too close to deal with it, as it was not spotted. Dark Coaster's army going ham on Lumon's base. Or you can pretty much say the same thing for Lumon now. Juni is counter-attacking. The tanks should be enough to deal with that, as the splash damage is good enough. The Medivacs desperately need all troops. Lumon likely getting a little bit distracted with the offensive on his main. Currently, he doesn't have enough troops to counter this, as the splash damage from 4 Colossi will be great. They have storms, and the remaining army of Lumon is dealt with. The GG's called, and is another victory for UVU. 2-on-1, UVU on the lead. All right, 4th match, UVU on the lead, 3-on-1. 4th match played on Fields of Death, another 2v2. Protoss versus Terran. Now, on the north side of the map, representing UVU, we have on orange, Dark Coaster. And on blue, with those probes, those very pesky probes, we have a channel favorite, a very known individual among us. We have Probius. While on the south, with the light blue Terran pieces, we have Barcode. And with the red ones, we have Veritas, the pro player. Barcode's known to bring in cheese, but since they are protecting their identity from prying eyes, because they are very known, very famous, We do not know who this individual is, nor the people from the championship. They don't know if he's actually kind of a known player, if he's just Barcode, because they refer to him as Barcode, as his literal name, not only because it's Barcode. But anyways, as I digress, we have Dark Coaster and Probius, both players very known for proxies, for cheese, for Dark Templars, and Void Rays. We can already see Probius with the double gas, so he will be lighter on minerals but heavier on gas, meaning higher tech units, that's where he's going. Dark Coaster with an early expansion. Just now saturating, starting up the second gas, so you can kind of smell something is up. He's going for warp gates, already 2 extra warp gates starting up. Probius with his, well, with a very, very daring proxy double Stargate and 2 shield batteries coming up on the very doorstep of Veritas. And Dark Coaster with his stamp, with his what he's known for, a proxy warp gate, so he can warp those units faster. Because pylons you can warp units on any pylon, but if that pylon has a warp gate or a nexus on his radius of energy, he becomes a super pylon and allows for a very, very fast warping. Getting a little bit more daring, bringing in 3 shield batteries to the very doorstep of both players, while Probius works on the back door of Veritas, killing all of 1 gas. 3 SCVs go down. Veritas tries to counter it with 2 Marines and a very brave Widowmine, but Probius already has 2 Void Rays out. The prismatic alignment is used to fry down those structures, because structures are classified as armored, and prismatic alignment does cause extra damage to armored units. That does not include Marines and SCVs, but does include structures. While Dark Coaster bringing in a lot of stalkers from the very doorstep of both players. While Veritas SCVs are pulled, they were trying to be evacuated, but they got closed in between both Void Rays and Stalkers. Now they have no choice but to fight for their freedom, to fight for their lives. Both Terran players trying to counter those Void Rays with Cyclone. Cyclones will be able to kite down, as long as they are microed really well, they will be able to kite anything that the Protoss can throw at them. We have an armory for Veritas, meaning this Widowmine, after it fires, it will remain cloaked. It will remain invisible. It will not show up for Probius. But Dark Coaster's Stalkers are pushing in. These Cyclones are microed. Probius does have 4 Void Rays out. One of them ate the shot of the Widowmine, very strategy-wise. The Widowmine is recharging. Veritas does have, had 2 Cyclones out. 1 Cyclone is arrested. Cyclone, you're not going anywhere, buddy. Stay. Sit down. You're staying here. Veritas calls in a GG. Probius does destroy the main base. Double GG is called. Barcode also gives up. And it's another win for UVU. With double cheese proxy players, bringing in all that sweet, smelly cheese to the doorstep of the Terran players, with Void Rays, Stalkers, and a lot of death, granting the win to UVU so far. So now the scoreboard is 3-1. All right, 5th match on the board. To start us out, 3-1 for UVU. Now, representing UVU with the light blue Zerg pieces on the bottom left of Glittering Ashes LE, we have none other than Sojourn. And on the top right, with the red Zerg pieces, we have none other than Antes, representing Irvine. Antes, as we have seen, knows how to have a very good early offense, knows how to do an early pool with Zerglings, know how to manage their Zerglings, and to manage a solid enough defense. Sojourn is a very known among the people as a very, very macro focused player. And as you can see, he's starting up with a 16 pool, as contrary to the 12 pool from Antes. He will be macroing it out a lot more than Antes. His focus will be macro, his focus will be the economy, will be expanding, making drones. While the focus from Sojourn, from Antes, will be making Zerglings, will be making early offensive units. As you can see from the a little bit later gas than Sojourn. So both players already with their expansions. Antes a little bit behind, as mentioned. He's focusing more of an early offensive. He already has the 6 Zerglings out, rattling, jumping, skipping along the battlefield, going up to Sojourn's natural, forcing a cancel on Aspire. Both players now Sojourn with the slight advantage on one single Zergling advantage against Antes, but only for now, as Antes is likely going to produce a lot more units. I don't think he will focus too much on Zerglings, as he does have 1 gas, and that should mean a couple of roaches will come up soon enough after a new round of Zerglings. Sojourn does bring his Zerglings across the map, leads with 3 queens, the best defense the Zerg has against any kind of early aggression. You can see that there is the same lacking production from Sojourn. He is not focused on producing queens, but he is going for an earlier layer, while Antes is keeping to the hatch level technology, so he can get more offensive units, more army units out, already having double the supply in army from Sojourn. Sojourn, though, having more workers than Antes, not by a very long margin, but by a slight margin, having more workers. But at the cost of getting a Roach Warren and an Evo Chamber, and trying to get a 3rd, very, very brave, very greedy from Sojourn, as he doesn't have, and he knows he doesn't have army dominance on this map currently. The queen in those extra Zerglings should be enough to stop Antes' offensive. The Zerglings for some reason backed out, but those Zerglings should be dealt with. after a little chase, a very exciting chase that Zerglings are very known for. Sojourn sending out a couple of Zerglings across the map that should be deterred by the 3 queens on the gates of Antis. Moving back to try to secure a 3rd expansion for Sojourn. Antis just keeping on 2 bases, very knowing that, yeah, only now expanding to a 3rd, knowing that 2 bases should be enough for him to keep a good roach production. A 3rd is ideal, but not necessary, as Sojourn scouts the 3rd, but instead he keeps on trying to deal economic damage to Antis by getting some drones. Still unsuccessful, as only 1 drone was killed from by Sojourn. Antis is controlling this battlefield with a lot more strength and army units in comparison to Sojourn, and is starting to macro out Sojourn, getting more economic advantage. As the saying goes, when you're ahead, get more ahead. Don't try to win outright. He keeps prodding. Yeah, I think it's prodding, right? He keeps on prodding. He keeps on poking Sojourn with roaches, with Zerglings, but he doesn't commit them, so they don't die, and he loses, and he needs to rebuild them. Sojourn, on the other hand, ends up losing units, as you can very well see. And currently, he seems to have more roaches, but at least that's what he thinks. He doesn't know that Antis has this many roaches on his home. And now he's splitting the road. For some reason, he's splitting the roaches on 2 very well bite-sized roach amounts that are going to be easily crushed by Antis's roaches. Maybe noticing that splitting up your units may not be the best idea. This fight looks to be a slugfest between roaches, but Antis does come up with those very nice, very thick Ravagers, and his corrosive Bile may give him the advantage needed to overcome the numbers of roaches. Sojourn does have less units, less supply, and now he also has the disadvantage of being hit by Antis's corrosive biles. So Sojourn's 3rd, always threatened, always hurt, always getting contested. Sojourn just unable to contest any economic advantage Antis has over him, having to come back home to defend every time. Now we do have a Nidus Worm coming up for Sojourn. It was immediately detected by this very committed overlord, doing his duty of spotting any shenanigans coming up from the corner of Antis's main. Now both roach groups, I guess it's true. Both roach groups looking at each other very angrily. A Nidus does come up for Sojourn on would be in Antis's 5th or even 6th base. Roaches doing their work on Sojourn's 3rd. Sojourn not bothering to contest it for some reason, costing him his 3rd. And giving Antis a lot more economic advantage. Now we have the trench wars between roaches, looking very angrily at each other. Sojourn's roaches getting inspired, distracted by the very nice crystal formation over there. Sojourn is forced to evacuate through the Nidus, and some of the roaches are left behind. As Antis continues to strike on the offensive, continues to push Sojourn off, to push Sojourn's army supply down. As in the meanwhile, we have equal enough upgrades, but Antis does have the advantage of having +1 carapace going on +2, making his roaches even thicker, even harder to kill. Making his advantage even greater over Sojourn. Sojourn trying to compensate for the economic and military disadvantage by getting 2 simultaneous expansions. Losing a queen, likely due to his own roaches attacking it. Oh, queen, you are not helpful. You're ousted from your post. You're ousted from your rank. Well, that's a way to recognize someone's job, I guess. Someone's efforts. Antis now coming up with lurkers and getting the range upgrades for the lurker strike, making them strike at even further distances. So he has a mix of roach, ravagers, and lurkers, very dangerous to ground units, mainly ground armies. Is a very dangerous composition to anyone from the ground that faces them. Sojourn only having roaches, it will be a big ask of those very, very dedicated roaches to face any of this. Sojourn's third contested once more, lost. As Seismic Spines is coming up, Sojourn calls a GG. He knows there's no way. It's too many army. It's double his supply. It was too much for his brave elite roaches to handle. They couldn't do it. So he calls a GG. 3-on-2 for a UVU. Antis does take this for our Irvine. All right, match number 6. Now, the scoreboard is 3-on-2 towards UVU. This match will decide if they take it home or will be a 7th match. Representing UVU on the top right side of Nightscape LE, we have, with the purple SCVs, none other than Junie. And his partner, with the blue Zerg units, we have Sojourn. While on the bottom left side of the map, with the light blue Zerg units, we have Antis. And his partner, with the red SCVs, we have Veritas. Sojourn and Junie a very solid double, as Junie is known for early pressure and Sojourn for his macro play, so they can compensate for one another. That should be a well-balanced team. Antis is known for an all-around play. He can early pressure, he can also macro it out quite well. And Veritas, we haven't seen much of him so far, so I'm not sure what to expect. But I do expect a good all-around player, since his rank is GM on the ladder on 1v1. We already have the first expansions for both Zerg players. No proxies, no shenanigans so far. Only two very distinct, interesting place barracks from Juni. I guess not to be spotted, I guess. But they're neither proxies, they're just randomly placed. So that way they don't know what to expect in any form of early aggression from UVU. The first scouts on the map are already contested. The Reapers and Zerglings aggressions already started off. Although Sojourn is showing off his macro side, is showing off his strength, his more economic oriented kind of playstyle by getting a third expansion already at the 3-minute mark. While Antis is halfway behind on the third expansion. Both Terran players is still on one base. Looking to how to try to produce more offensive units, more army units, rather than focus on the long run. Now we have the first offense coming from UVU with Reapers and Zerglings. In the same composition, trying to defend from Irvine. Irvine being more successful as there are more Zerglings and there are Banelings. Banelings connect and down goes Juni's Reapers. The last one being picked up by Antis's Zerglings. More Zerglings are coming out, trying to deter. They're going to try to stop the counterattack. Not sure if it's going to be enough, as Veritas does have one Hellion out. He's a very brave Hellion. He ends up dying. The counteroffensive is shut down. But now, as your kind of usual tower defense game, now it's their turn. Now it's UVU's turn to attack. As their attack is once again shut down by Banelings and Zerglings. Trying to contest Antis' turn. Impact close to completion for Veritas. A very important upgrade for any Terran player. And he does already have the knee-breaking Marauders. No Marauders to be seen yet. No, I correct myself. There's one Marauder. A very special and very important Marauder. He's likely to be Veritas' own cousin, as is the only Marauder, and just because of him, he got the knee-breaking upgrades. The Banelings are being tempted into exploding, but not so successfully. Veritas is going out with 2 medevacs loaded with Marines and Marauders. Both of them upgraded with stem pack and the knee-breaking shells. So those are that's a very dangerous drop. It's not scouted so far. That's Antis' scout. Yep, it was not scouted. They just hit Sojourn's home. So far, killing 2 drones, a couple more units. We'll see if does any more damage. Meanwhile, Juni with the counter offensive, being repelled by Queens and Marines from Veritas. Veritas offensive dealing a lot of economic damage to Sojourn, killing a Queen and picking off a couple of drones. And he's not stopping. Is going for Juni. Juni does have a Liberator out, not going to be very effective. It's almost down. It's going to escape, and it goes away just on the nick of time. The offensive from Juni was repelled, as we have Antis with a decent enough army amount just on home, securing his third, along with Veritas' first expansion. Juni's expansion was placed on a further away spot, but so far both teams having similar placed expansion. Veritas with a new round of Marines, now upgraded with the very fancy, what looks to be riot shields, but we all know as combat shields, giving them extra HP, which should be enough to allow them to stem without worrying too much about being one-shot by anything. Juni does have 2 Hellions out, a couple of Reapers, accompanied by Hellions as well. Skins are thrown out to see what is where. Veritas commit to an attack, dealing a little bit of damage, stemming, getting all of the Zerglings that came up. Juni not committing, backing away, sieging up the tank. At the end, the attack was repelled, as the Marines tend to stem quite a lot and die to the Hellion's flames. Now we have +1/+1 coming up for Veritas. Stem pack and combat shield just now coming up for Juni, very much later than Veritas upgrades, since they committed slightly more to early offense than the Irvine team. Irvine already grouping up for a new offensive on Juni's natural. A new command center coming up to Juni's natural, likely to become planetary as a defensive measure. Sojourn does make some Mutalisks, not known for their efficacy and efficient trade, as they are very expensive and not that strong unless they have high numbers. The combined armies of Irvine wreak havoc on Juni's third, natural rather, not even third. On Juni's natural, hindering their economy by a very strong margin. And so far, winning the combat quite decisively. Here we have the classic cooperation of Zerg and Terran. The Terran medivacs healing the Zerg's units, as the Zerg units are biological as well. I don't know how that works. I guess medics have to have some kind of xeno medicine technology and knowledge. And the Irvine's armies are rallying across the map as they continue to push. The GG's called, and it's another win for Irvine. 3-on-3. We now go for the breakpoint, for the last match of the series. All right, last match of the series. 3-on-3, breakpoint, being fought on Pride of Altares. Protoss versus Protoss. Both players fighting for their team's pride for the victory of the series. Now, to introduce our 2 champions chosen by their teams to fight off for this decision. On the bottom right of Pride of Altares, we have none other than Doc Coaster. And on the top left with the red Protoss units fighting for Irvine, we have none other than Void. Dark Coaster, as we have seen, known to bring his sheaves, to bring DPs, Stalkers, Proxy Warp Gates. Void being a new card added to the deck. We haven't seen any matches from this player so far, so I don't know what to expect. So far, looks to be a Cannon Rush. The cheesiest of cheeses. Everyone on the ladder knows this cheese very well. Looking to be shut down, having two probes on Dark Coaster's base. Dark Coaster pulling some of his own probes and getting a Zealot out to deal with this very annoying Cannon Rush. Getting one probe, two probes, three, yep, 4 probes so far, and the Zealot. But now defending with cannons of his own design. Dark Coaster does shut down the Cannon Rush after suffering a couple of probe losses in the Zealot. That may be decisive. That will hurt Dark Coaster's economic very heavily, as in the early game losing 4 probes is a lot, as contrary to in the latest stages of the game, losing 4 probes doesn't matter that much. It matters, but not by the same margin, as the income advantage already swings very heavily towards Void. Void already on halfway through to his natural expansion. Dark Coaster still on his one base, trying to figure out what to do. Having 2 gases fully saturated, not yet saturating the entire base on the mineral. Void having a fully saturated main base, while just now finishing his natural expansion, giving him a very strong economic advantage. Dark Coaster bringing up a Stargate a little bit earlier than Void's also Stargate, as both players seem to now bring the fight to the skies, fighting Golden Armada against Golden Armada, or on the very least the very basis of the Protoss fleets. Dark Coaster just now getting his second expansion, his first base, his natural. Still bothering heavily. And at this point, I think it's more of a mind game than anything else from Void. Getting a pylon to spy and possibly threaten a Cannon Rush on Dark Coaster's natural. Playing heavily on those mind games, keeping Dark Coaster on his toes with those Cannon Rushes. But already having 10 worker advantage over Dark Coaster, Void shows that economic advantage. Supplies are equal. Both players will 2 Phoenixes out. No upgrades on the way. Finished. The only upgrade on the way is +1 air for Dark Coaster, as he really wants that air superiority. Although both of them are going for the same exact units. Void having scouted and still retaining that pylon, knowing very well what Dark Coaster is up to, or at least what he assumes he's up to. but now having a second Stargate, while Dark Coaster remaining on 1. This should make Void surpass Dark Coaster's production on the Phoenixes. Even though he doesn't have +1 air, the numbers will matter on this. So already Void having 1 extra Phoenix on the field. Dark Coaster just now finishing his second Stargate. If Dark Coaster manages to equal the numbers, then the upgrades will come in hand. And then the +1 will make its play and allow him to exchange on a better scenario against Void. But now Void getting a 3rd base, while Dark Coaster remains on the 2 base, keeping himself to his own base, likely hurt by Void's mind games with the cannon rusher. Although Void is just now supply blocked by the loss of this pylon on the other side of the map. But Void already showing a 3 Phoenix advantage over Dark Coaster. And now coming up with the Anian Pulse Crystal upgrade. An upgrade that allows the Phoenixes to shoot further. They increase the range of the Phoenix shooting and makes the lasers, instead of being blue, make it purple on a very, very pretty purple color. And now also going for the +1 upgrade. Both players having kind of exchanged upgrades, as one does have already the range and the other has the damage, but both of them going for the same upgrade. For the same upgrades. But the range for the Phoenix attack does finish earlier. That will give a slight upgrade advantage for Dark Coaster, while almost keeping up with the army production, still lacking on the economy side, having 20 less probes than Void. And Void abusing that fleet beacon and already coming out with 2 carriers. Those 2 carriers will be key if they face each other, as Phoenixes will need to be micro if Dark Coaster is to win that fight. Because if he just 8 clicks and orders his army to automatically attack and engage any units on site, the Phoenixes will engage the carriers, interceptors, and that will only hurt Dark Coaster, as Void's Phoenixes will not engage any interceptors and will be able to be dealing direct damage to Dark Coaster's army. It is now Void seeing as his opponent is just sitting on his other side of the map, sitting on his bases, not trying any offensives, not poking, not prodding, not anything from either side. But Dark Coaster is still damaged by the cannon rush, still hurt mentally, not being greedy, trying to play very safe. On the other hand, Void playing as greedy as he can, getting all the expansions, getting his fleet up. This is the ideal scenario for the Golden Armada to come out. As long as your opponent doesn't touch your economy, your Golden Armada will grow fast and will grow strong. And that will be key to victory. Unless Dark Coaster manages to use his numbers in Phoenixes, because Phoenixes do hurt more than a single interceptor. If he micros them well, he will be able to pick off those carriers and grant him and recover from his disadvantage. It will not grant him the victory, as Phoenixes don't kill buildings. Now sending out them all out in the map as +2 finishes while Void's own +2 is still to finish. The Phoenixes start the exchange. The interceptors come into play, distracting the Phoenixes, requiring a lot of attention and a lot of micro from Dr. Coaster, but still managing to pick off some Phoenixes from Void and bring in reinforcements as his own self. It's so many interceptors. GG's called. The interceptors were too many. The Phoenixes were too many. The Golden Armada playing its role in air superiority. And Void showing that economic advantage hippled behind the cannon rush, bringing the victory to Irvine. A very close match as both players mimic each other very well until the point Void realized he would bring more money home and would be able to expand his fleet faster. Great game, great series. I hope you guys enjoyed. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful evening, a wonderful night. Remember, like, subscribe. That helps me, helps the engagement, helps the startup caster. You have that power. Do it. If you guys enjoyed, once again, I hope I made your day a little bit better with this wonderful match from both universities teams. And I'll see you guys on the next one.